Bill Lyster, who just completed his term as the International Jeeps president in 2012-2013, and now has assumed the chairmanship role of the Jeeps Board of Directors. When Bill isn't traveling or providing leadership to organizational policy, he serves as Special Projects Manager for Ag Partners LLC, headquartered in Alberta City, Iowa. Ag Partners has 16 grain handling facilities with more than 46 million bushels of storage capacity. This includes 2 processing plants, country elevators, and 6 sub-terminals. Bill has been in the grain industry since 1972, when he began with Speltz Grain. After working for Cook Industries for 4 years, he joined Ag Partners in 1978, and he's been on staff for 35 years. We have asked Bill today for his expertise in getting a project started and deciding where it should end up. Right? That's always a good thing. Moving off square, one can sometimes be the hardest and most difficult step in any project. Do you first hire an engineer? Do you first have a board meeting? Do you first take an inventory of your assets? Where is that first step taken on the road to getting that new project started? Bill will provide that jump start. If you would, please welcome Bill Lyster.
Good morning. As you're already aware, my name is Bill Lyster. I am honored to be able to speak with you today, and the key words there, speak with you, not at you. I hope to have a lot of interactive questions at the end. I'll tell you my presentation's not long, but I truly enjoy talking with folks, so let's open up at the end. Bill here will follow me, then after that, if you have questions, we'll jump right into them together. So, as Greg stated, I started working in the grain industry over 40 years ago after school and on weekends. My very first job was to scoop out a boot pit, and nice thing about that in your career, you know there's hopefully only one way, and that's up. Get out of there. So I can clearly remember looking around and wondering why anybody would build something like that. And it was quite evident they'd never done the task I was being asked to do. And so it was imperative that when you create something, you put yourselves in the shoes of those people who are going to have to work in it. You know, where kids are getting bigger, make sure there's plenty of room, make sure it's good equipment, make sure it's available for them to do the task you ask. So create an environment that they're happy to work in. You today have that opportunity to create an environment that is not only safe but also efficient. I spend a lot of time with companies helping them decide what they need, and it is common to show up and start the conversation by asking, what do you want to accomplish? The usual reply is that they start to describe the assets and the placement of these. I encourage them to back up a step and say, would you first mind and describe the actual physical capabilities of the existing asset and what you would like it to be and able to accomplish when done? When you take a step back and start to gather the information, it becomes work in progress rather than a preconceived notion. Many times what is lost in the process is the vision for what they want it to be when it grows up. What I mean by this, what happens tomorrow? Have we taken time to discover what the future state will be? Have we placed the new assets in the proper place to allow for this plan to come to fruition? I truly believe that the first step in any new facility design or retrofit is do the due diligence, discover all the facts. The second step is to clearly define in writing what we want this asset or location to have for goals and objectives. Without that, we may forget what the objectives are. When you have come to an agreement on what the picture is going to look like, it is much easier to keep focused. Then when asked by somebody why you're headed down this path, you can explain that you have spent the time discovering what best suits the needs of all participants and have a basis to support the direction you are taking. I understand the need to have a business plan that pays for the additions. I also understand that if assets do not accomplish what you're expecting, then the business plan will not be achieved. Here are some statements I make during the process of discovery. Functionality needs to outweigh the financial cost. I'll say that again. Functionality needs to outweigh the financial cost. If you can't support the outlay of capital, then you shouldn't do it at all. You have only one chance to do this right. If you build something that does not operate as you hoped, you will have to live with it for a very long time. It is not a glamorous industry. Design assets that employees want to work in. There's a number of opportunities for them to go to work in our industry, and they may choose yours over someone else's if you've taken the time to create a facility that they want to work in. People are getting harder to find. Build assets that utilize modern technology. Another thing I say, the limit to modernization is your imagination. Really step back and take an opportunity to think about what you want to accomplish. PLCs can do a lot of things today for you. Good equipment and the proper application has less expense related to repairs in years to come. So again, don't let the financial plan drive this. Talk about ongoing expenses, how you might limit or even eliminate a bunch of those. Are current traffic patterns an impediment to the ease of moving products or vehicles? Should we step back and examine other ways of traffic flow? I can state several examples where we reversed the traffic flow. There's all like the dumb moment where they looked at it and went, oh my God. Safety is not an expense. It is an investment in peace of mind. Do what is right for your employees. They're fellow workers. I'd look at them as friends, so do that. When you have defined what assets are applicable to your needs, then it's time to work with an engineering firm to get conceptual drawings overlaid on aerial maps. And I truly like to do that because it gives everybody a better visual of what they're getting. If you place the bins here and roads there and buildings there, they can start to see it on their existing assets. It is much easier for all to get a grasp of what you're creating. The next step, in my opinion, is getting engineered drawings done. This has to be done sometime, and it signals to a contractor that you are seriously looking to build something. It gives them the information necessary and the desire to supply you at a very accurate and competitive cost. The final step is to accurately, in a much defined manner, identify all components of this project in a document that will be given to the contractors looking to bid on your project. Truly is, devil's in the details. If you don't take the time to do this, it's pretty obvious that somewhere down the road you're going to have a discussion thinking that they thought, you thought, said whatever, and you were both wrong. And there's very few projects that have overruns. They're just underestimations because there was not enough information gathered. I titled the scope of the project. Examples contained within this document are brands of equipment. You know what you like, pick them. Each and every option that you feel is to be included for that piece of equipment. Speed that you'll allow it to operate at. Spouting design, gauge of the steel, liners and access points. Size of tunnels or work areas. Minimum clearances so that maintenance can be performed. Expectations and location for each and every access to service platforms. Clearly define what the owner deliverables are, that we both understand who's doing what. Clearly define the timeline that the project is to be completed by and agreed upon. Ask for a payment schedule from the contractor prior to acceptance of the contractor. Again, that'll help you when you get that invoice. You know that it's appropriate to pay it at this time. You've discovered that way in advance. Define your insurance expectations. And the last one, define your safety expectations. You may have something different what they're normally used to. Maybe you expect them to attend your meetings. Maybe you expect them to do sign-in sheets that you're not used to. Maybe you have a different requirement for PPE. Tell that contractor well in advance, so it's not a surprise or shock to him when he comes on your site and he's not prepared. I stated earlier, many times projects have been described as having major overruns. My belief is that most owners have not clearly identified in writing all equipment and other components they were expecting. Today is the start of discovering how to build safer and more efficient assets. Open your minds to new ideas and concepts. Take the time to learn something about the person sitting next to you. They may have already discovered how to overcome an issue you are facing. Be willing to share your experiences so that they may not have to feel the pain that you have. Recognize the importance of your job. Truly, we are feeding the world. Create the training opportunities necessary for your employees to operate that new facility. That's what I want to repeat again, is take the time to train the employees. Quite often we build a new tool, turn it over at the last minute harvest and starting to say, run it. Here's a dryer, run it. And there's a book out there, Why Employees Don't Do What You Want Them to Do. You can read the thing and it gets down to one thing. You failed to tell them, failed to train them. So Lastly, have fun. There are a lot of good people in this industry, and they like to laugh. As I stated in the beginning, I prefer to speak with you rather than at you. Ask some questions, and if I'm not able to answer, I'm sure that someone in the room will be able to. We've gathered some questions already, so later on, if there aren't any, we've got some to start with, but hopefully you have some that you burning desire to have someone give you some sort of an answer to. So thank you.